My name is Lorna Robertshaw, and oh, hey, I've got pictures. Fantastic. I'm going to be talking about rock climbing. And I know what you're thinking. I've clearly chosen this topic just so I can show off pictures of myself doing awesome things. Not entirely untrue, but the goal of the presentation today is to convince some of you to give rock climbing a try. To convince you that it's accessible, it's not too expensive, especially to begin with, and it's safe, it's fun, and it's something I think you'd all enjoy. And next slide. So what I'll posit to you today is if you decide to give up or to give rock climbing a try because of this presentation, please email me and let me know that you've done so, and you will absolutely make my day. Next slide. So what are some of the reasons why I think that Wireshark enthusiasts might enjoy rock climbing? Well, we all like puzzles. We all like problem solving. And climbing is a big puzzle. In fact, if you go to a climbing gym, there are people called route setters who their job is to set a problem. So they bolt these plastic holes into the wall, and then they give it a rating, a skill difficulty level, and people who think they can climb that difficulty level go to the gym and try to solve the problem of how do you get from here to here without falling off, basically. When you start climbing outside, you have more logistics. You know, obviously, you have more danger inherent in nature. You have yourself, a rope, a partner, some gear, and a cliff face. And you have to figure out how to get you and your partner safely to the top of the cliff face. And there's a lot of physics and knowledge of how your body works, how your muscles move, balance. For example, I know if I'm standing with my weight on my right foot and I need to reach the next handhold, I know that I want to reach with my right hand because that puts me in a more stable position. So there's things like that that you learn as you climb that help you become a better climber. I'm obviously not very strong. I'm mediocre at sport. I don't like running or anything like that, but I find this to be absolutely fascinating and a mental challenge as well as a physical challenge, absolutely difficult physically. Next slide. One of the amazing things about climbing is you get to go places that unless you have access to a helicopter, you probably wouldn't otherwise get to go. So as you're climbing up a cliff or a mountain, at some point you're running out of rope. You have to stop, sit on a nice ledge, attach the rope to something, pull the rope up, and then you pull your partner up. As they're climbing below you, you might have half an hour while they're climbing to you, and you have nothing to do but sit and just enjoy the scenery. And it's usually very peaceful, not a lot of people around. If you're in the UK, there are sheep, definitely sheep, so you hear sheep bawling in the field somewhere. But other than that, it's very peaceful. And I really enjoy that time to take a step back. And next slide. Some of you are going to think, if you don't have a head for heights, this might look terrifying. This is actually a view of Land's End in Cornwall, which is the southwesternmost point in England. And most people go there, they have their picture taken next to a signpost, they have an ice cream or a beer. My partner and I, because we're crazy, we went behind the hotel, climbed down the rocks, and climbed up some of these formations that you can see towards the middle on the right-hand side of the screen. And that was a wonderful afternoon that we enjoyed. And as you start climbing, you start in the gym. It's all very safe. There's a big pad on the floor. There's a rope attached to the ceiling and trained people to help you out. But as you start getting better and more skilled, not just better at climbing, but more capable of going out and handling yourself in a situation like this, the temptation is to go and do this really cool stuff. And at some point, you're going to get scared. I'm always scared. I am a scaredy cat in life. So for me, going out and doing this was absolutely terrifying at first, especially the first time I climbed a sea cliff, because you have the wind coming in from the sea, you have the waves crashing into the rock, and there's no way out but up. You have to do the climb, unless you're going to call the Coast Guard to come and rescue you, which I've not had to do yet. But what we call it, climbers call it, is atmospheric, which is climber code for terrifying. And you can let that get in your head, and the little lizard part of your brain says, we're all going to die. And you have to learn to control that fear and still be able to make good decisions and make safe decisions and be able to overcome the physical manifestation of fear, shaking, and be able to keep moving. But it's not all about fear. The best thing about climbing, I think, is, unless you're Alex Honnold and you're soloing El Capitan in 2 hours, you have a partner. And your partner has two jobs. The first job is to hold the other end of the rope so that if you fall, you don't hit the ground. And I'm not in this picture, I took this picture, but the bloke halfway up the rock there is my partner in life and in climbing, Richard. And for one of the first times we climbed together, I was about where he was. I got a little scared. Your belayer, your partner's other job is to basically encourage you to shout encouraging things up the rock if the climber's struggling. And on that particular day, I was getting a little scared. Obviously had stopped making progress. Maybe you saw my legs shaking a little bit. And suddenly I start hearing, blue, 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 blue. And I yell down, what the hell are you doing? And he shouts up, it's whale song. It's meant to be soothing. And I said, well, he's never heard a whale song in his life, but it made me laugh. And that was what I needed at that moment. So the great thing about climbing partners is if you join a climbing club, you have instant friends, and you're in this situation where your lives are literally in each other's hands. And so it starts this kind of instant camaraderie and emotional intimacy. So it's a great way to make friends. So for all these reasons, I think I've had huge transformation in my life due to rock climbing. And I think everyone in this room would benefit in some way for giving it a try. So I hope you do. Thank you.